Looking back on it all, it's hard to believe how a simple move to a quiet little town like Willow Creek in Virginia could turn into this nightmare straight out of a thriller movie, but man, it did. And it started with one phone call that still makes me chuckle in a dark kind of way. We had just settled in, my wife Sarah and I, after years grinding away as federal prosecutors up in D.C., chasing down white-collar crooks and organized crime syndicates that left us with more enemies than we'd like to count. We'd retired early, you see, to give our kids Sophie, who's 10 now, and little Ben, 8, a shot at a normal life, away from the shadows of those old cases that had us jumping at every knock on the door. There was this one time a raid went wrong on a mistaken address, and the trauma stuck with the kids like glue, nightmares about strangers bursting in, anxiety that made school a battleground. So yeah, Willow Creek seemed perfect, a cozy suburb full of families grilling burgers on weekends, retirees walking their dogs, no drama, just peace. Or so we thought. It all kicked off when this woman, Karen Blackwell, showed up at our door one sunny afternoon, clipboard in hand, smile plastered on like it was part of her uniform. She introduced herself as the president of the local homeowners association HOA. For shorthand right away, she was pushing this thick packet of rules, fees, penalties, the works, insisting that joining wasn't optional, that it kept the neighborhood pristine and safe. Sarah and I exchanged glances. We dealt with enough bureaucrats in our careers to smell the overreach a mile away, and we politely said thanks, but no thanks. We'd be good neighbors, mow our lawn, wave hello, but we weren't about to shell out monthly dues for some club we didn't need. Karen's eyes narrowed just a fraction, and that's when things got weird. She started probing, asking about our jobs in government, how long we'd been in D.C., even details about the kids' routines, like she already knew more than she should. And there was this faded sticker on her briefcase from Harrington Law Group, a name that rang a faint bell from our prosecuting days, plus the way she dropped legal jargon casually, like non-compliance could lead to liens, all with this icy edge that didn't match her sunny suburb vibe. The kids picked up on it first. Sophie whispered to me that night, "Dad." She looked at us like we were bugs, and Ben clung a little tighter during bedtime stories, his little face scrunched up in that way that broke my heart. Sarah and I talked it over in bed, lights low, voices hushed. Something felt off, like Karen wasn't just some pushy HOA lady, but we shrugged it off at first, figuring it was new neighbor jitters. But then Sarah froze one evening while scrolling through old case files on her laptop. She recognized that Harrington sticker from the Victor Lang prosecution, this big fraud case we'd nailed years back. Turns out Karen was Victor's defense attorney back then, a sharp one too, until we exposed her for coaching witnesses to lie, hiding offshore accounts, the whole unethical mess that got her disbarred and her life wrecked. Revenge, that was her game. She tracked us down somehow, maybe through old court contacts, and used this HOA gig as a Trojan horse to make our lives hell, twisting community rules into weapons because we were the ones who took her down. From there, it escalated like a slow-burning fire you don't notice until it's roaring. First came the petty stuff: fines in the mail for our mailbox being non-regulation height, or the grass a quarter-inch too long, toys left out in the yard after the kids played, all fabricated, of course, with her signature scrawled at the bottom like a taunt. But she didn't stop there. She started whispering poison around the neighborhood, telling folks we were former feds who brought danger to their doorsteps, painting us as these shadowy figures who'd attract criminals seeking payback. Suddenly, invitations dried up. Sophie came home in tears because she wasn't invited to a birthday party. Ben got sidelined from playdates, and whispers followed us at the grocery store. Aren't they the ones with the shady past? It hit the kids hard, reigniting those old anxieties. Ben started having nightmares again, clutching his stuffed bear like a lifeline, and Sophie withdrew, asking why everyone hated us now. And Karen? She ramped it up, turning psychological anonymous notes in the mailbox referencing old cases, like, remember the Moretti Syndicate? Families don't always stay safe, tying into that mob trial where witnesses vanished, forcing us into protection once. It exploited every vulnerability, making Sarah pace at night, her prosecutor instincts kicking in, while I felt this rage bubbling, protective dad mode on full blast. Then the damage started. Tires slashed on our cars, garden ripped up overnight, even a rock through the window with a note saying leave or else. We knew it was her, or goons she'd hired overconfident as ever. She'd slip up in conversations, like bumping into us at the park and sneering. "You think you're above the rules, Mike? I've seen people like you crumble." Her voice dripped with that mired bitterness, eyes flashing with the ghosts of her ruined career, all because we'd done our jobs, exposed her lies in court where she couldn't hide behind fancy suits anymore. We weren't about to roll over, though Sarah and I. We'd built cases for a living, so we started documenting everything. Photos of the damage, copies of the threats, timestamps on those creepy texts that traced back to burner phones she'd clumsily used. We talked to a few neighbors quietly, like old Mr. Jenkins next door, who'd seen her lurking, and Mrs. Patel across the street, who admitted Karen had pressured her into spreading rumors with promises of HOA favors. Tensions built. Sarah spotted more red flags, like Karen impersonating a city inspector to snoop around our yard, badge clearly fake if you knew what to look for. And her mistakes piled up. She got bold, hiring some sketchy guys to tail us. But one night they botched it, revving their engine too loud outside our window, waking the kids, and giving us license plate numbers to trace. It all exploded one afternoon at the local supermarket. Of all places, picture this. Aisles buzzing with shoppers, fluorescent lights humming, and there she is, Karen, cornering me by the produce, her face twisted in fury. "You ruined me, Thompson," she hissed, voice low but venomous. "Disbarred because of your witch hunt on Victor now. I'll make sure your precious family pays. Every fine, every whisper, until you're isolated, broken." I stood there, heart pounding, but kept cool. "Karen, this ends now. We've got proof of your harassment, the threats, all of it." She laughed, this bitter, unhinged cackle that turned heads, then pulled out her phone, dialing 911 right there, flipping the script. "Help. This man's threatening me. I'm the HOA rep, and he's aggressive." Chaos ensued, shoppers staring, kids wide-eyed, but Sarah, who'd been in the next aisle, rushed over, phone recording, and confronted her head-on. "Drop the act, Karen. We know who you are, the disbarred lawyer out for revenge. Admit it, or we'll let the cops sort your lies." The police rolled up minutes later, sirens cutting through the tension like a knife. Officer Ramirez, a no-nonsense guy with a mustache that screamed authority, asked for IDs. Karen played victim, flashing fake documents claiming she was a city compliance officer, but we laid it all out. The evidence folder Sarah had prepped, witness statements, even a quick call to our old DC contacts confirming her history. Her facade cracked. She stammered, They're the criminals, not me." But Ramirez wasn't buying. He cuffed her right there as she tried to bolt, slipping on a spilled apple in this almost comical slow-motion tumble, yelling obscenities that echoed through the store. Charges piled on. Harassment, forgery, impersonation, stalking the works, and as they hauled her away, she shot me this final glare, pure defeat mixed with rage, muttering, "This isn't over." In the weeks that followed, the neighborhood exhaled. Folks came knocking with apologies, pies in hand, admitting they'd been duped by her manipulations. Turns out she'd been pulling strings for years, using the HOA to bully others over petty grudges, like old rivalries from her law days spilling into suburbia. We dissolved that HOA nonsense, started a casual neighborhood watch instead, and the kids? They bounced back, Sophie hosting her first sleepover, Ben laughing with new buddies on the swings. Community felt real again, stronger, like we'd all learned to spot the wolves in sheep's clothing. Karen got 6 months in county jail, heavy fines, a restraining order that kept her far away after release. She even sent one last letter from behind bars, a pathetic rant about karma coming for us, but it just gathered dust in our evidence box. 6 months on, life's quieter than ever. Sarah and I sip coffee on the porch, watching the kids play without a care, reflecting on how close we came to letting bitterness win. It taught us, the power of standing firm, documenting the truth, leaning on community when isolation creeps in. Justice doesn't always knock politely. It needs a push from folks like us who won't back down. But here's the thing that still nags at me. Was Karen just a villain, or a product of a system that chews people up and spits them out bitter? Did we push too hard in that old case, or was her revenge inevitable? I mean, revenge stories like this make you wonder about forgiveness, right, or when it's okay to fight fire with fire. What do you think? Drop a comment below. Tell me if you side with us, or if Karen had a point buried under all that mess. Share your own HOA horror stories or thoughts on community justice gone wrong. Hit that like button if this resonated. Subscribe for more real-life tales that twist like this one. And hey, share it with a friend who's dealt with a neighbor from hell. Thanks for listening. Stay vigilant out there.